Okay, so this video is part of our PA systems series on distributed audio, constant voltage, and I'm going to walk you through the basic wiring techniques that we're going to apply during our lab. This video is intended for my Fanshawe College students, and this is a supplement video or instructional video for the lab that we call a PA system lab. And sometimes, well, in this case, the year 2025, this is lab 2, but from one year to another, the number of the lab could change. All right, anyways, so before we start, I'm going to switch screens here. Let's take a look here. We do have a room here. This is the ceiling, or maybe it could be a hallway. This is the floor, and this are the walls. Now let's add some graphics to it here. Here's a symbol for an amplifier, out of which, because we're dealing with the distributed audio constant voltage system, then the audio line is going to be connected, run from the output of the amplifier through a step-up transformer. And in some cases, the PA system amplifiers, they have those transformers built in, the commercial amplifiers. And sometimes they need to be added externally. All right. So out of that transformer, which could be either 70 volts or 25 volts. Constant voltage system, it is because the audio line runs in a bus configuration. So there is a positive and negative side of the cable, or positive and negative vein of the cable or conductor, and they just run all the way through, all the way to the end. And what we do is we just take the speaker station and we tap into that main audio bus. And wherever the speaker needs to be connected, we just tap into it, which means we connect everything in parallel, basically. Okay? Now, how does it work? Is because of the step-up transformer, which steps up the impedance to the range of something like maybe 1200 ohms or 1500 ohms, somewhere in the range of that. That also depends on the transformer that you get here. Now, over here we have a transformer connected to every single speaker station, and it's a step-down transformer. So on this side of the transformer, there's a high impedance, connects to the high impedance of that, and then the transformer transforms the impedance into low impedance, and basically, depending on how we so-called tap the transformer, then we can make the speaker station stronger or not as strong as far as the power consumption from the whole system. Now, if we want to run the speaker station through a volume control, then we do something like this. I'm just going to add these graphics here. We tap into just like with the other speakers, we tap in to the main bus, main audio line, and we run a wire into the input of the volume control. Now, the volume controls for the constant voltage systems are specific ones. It's a volume with a transformer, and by turning the dial on the volume control, you're selecting the little transformer tap that is at the back of the faceplate of the volume control. And that's how you decide how much power to send to that speaker. So we get the output. Well, we tap in to the main bus, main audio line, connecting it in parallel, basically red to red, black to black. Boom! It goes right into the input of the volume control, usually in the conduit inside the wall. Now, through the same conduit, we run the wire back into the ceiling space from the output of the volume control, and then we run that into the speaker station. So the volume control controls just that speaker station or speaker station. Right? When we dial the volume control here, it only affects that speaker. It's not supposed to affect anything else. Technically, anything that you move affects everything else. However, the effect is so little that we basically consider that nothing else gets affected. Yeah. All right, let's back to our classroom here. So here's our classroom. That's it's our actual classroom here. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11 or 12 here. No, there's one more behind us. And over there towards left, towards the rear left, there's the amplifier. So I'm just going to black out or block part of the picture here, just to show that this is the position of our amplifier. Somewhere there is our amplifier. Okay, so now what we need to do, first thing what we're going to do, we're going to disconnect the existing system. We're going to completely disconnect anything from the speakers, pull the wire out, chop the zip ties from the service loops right here. Take the connectors, unscrew them or unclip them depending on what they are, and just throw them into the boxes here. Just throw them here. We're going to reuse them. Now you can save some of the longer pieces because we can reuse them. Right? So the first thing, we'll start fresh. By the way, cable removal is part of our job as the infrastructure technical services, if you can call it with the glorious name like that. All right? So starting fresh, what we're going to do is we're going to place a wire box or a wire or cable reel somewhere in this area right here. And we're going to pull the wire all the way through the back. Now, you're going to probably run this thing behind the speaker stations and hang them on the J-hooks, those wires, and just keep going until you reach the end. And then you're going to tie it off. You're going to tie that end of this wire to something solid. Okay, so let me just draw that. But for the purpose of the demo of this drawing here, I'm going to draw that on top of those. But this is not where you're going to run. You're going to run those wires right here and hang them on the J-hooks right there. But just for the clarity of the explanation, I'm just going to draw it. That we're going to run the wire all the way to the back, and over here you're just going to tie it off. Okay? Somewhere with the zip tie probably. Then what we're going to do at every single speaker station, we're going to pull a loop. We're going to pull a loop for that speaker station, and we're going to start with the furthest one from the reel. Because when we pull the loop here, the wire rolls off the reel, and we still have that. So that's the systematic thing that we have to, that's the system that we have to assume. And for every speaker station, you're going to pull the slack. What does the slack look like? Okay, so for this one here, and for that one, I'm just going to draw the detail of how things are being done. So I'm just going to use my eraser. We're not going to cut that here. We're going to cut things somewhere else, but not just yet. Things are going to look like this here. I'm going back to my pen, and I'm going to be careful how I draw this. Now, pull this wire, and don't try to save a couple of inches of the wire. Run it about here. And that's how you're going to do that. And over here, you're going to just tie it off with the zip tie. But we're going to start that. We're going to do that starting from the furthest speaker. and then this one, and then that one, and then that one. This way, we just keep unrolling the wire from the reel. Now, once you do that for every single speaker station, or whatever the speaker station you're going to work on, tie it off here. You can tie it to this Unistrat rail here if you want. Then what we're going to do is we're going to cut this loop here. Now, don't short yourself with the wire. Do not do just like 8 inches or 12 inches. Run a good length so it goes right down to the countertop and maybe foot over. Please do that, okay? Do not try to save 5 or 6 or 7 inches of wire. All right, how we're going to cut this? We're going to cut this just so we can join that. Why? What's the purpose of that? So we could join to that cut position here. We can join another wire. Well, you know what? Let me just draw this thing clearer, somewhat clearer, because it's just a dark. We have a bit of a darkness here to deal with. All right. So we're just going to cut that just so we can join this together. All right. What are we going to join that? Why are we cutting it and joining it together? What's the point? Well, we're joining it back together after we cut it so the line can continue. But we also are cutting this loop right here so we could tap in with another wire that we're going to run from that point into through the back here, and we're going to run that thing right into the speaker station, and we're going to connect that here. So again, this one here, don't shortchange yourself on the wire. Run it about that, because you're going to have to provide for a little bit of a stripping of the wire, peeling the jacketing and all that stuff. You need to have some length, comfort. Okay? So comfort of length. All right. So then after the whole thing is cut and stripped, we're going to make a pigtail, joining it. So as a result of this whole action, for example, for this speaker station, we're going to have that loop or the whole main bus interrupted and joined back together the way it was here. And we're going to be tapping into that with another wire. So for every single speaker station, how do we do that? So here is an example of how we cut the wire. Okay? Not a big philosophy. Another picture here. After we cut the wire, it is important that these two wires are, so just kind of equalize the length. Do not make one of them shorter or the other one longer or whatnot. Because when you cut this, see, when you cut that here, you just tie that off. When you run the other third wire, just tie it off with this one right here. Okay, I should probably erase that and redraw it. Where are we here? Here. Just going to erase that and redraw that. Just run it from the same position here. From the same tie off right here. And that's the wire that is going to the speaker. Right. So this way here, you're going to have nice and equalized lengths of that. And once you make a nice and beautiful pigtail, that's what we call it, you can just coil the whole thing up and just like this service loop and hang it on a J-hook. Okay. All right. So again, how we do that, after we tie those off, we just kind of run it with our hands just to make sure they're nice and equal, and that we're going to place a zip tie right here. Okay, then we're going to strip the wire from the jacketing and we're going to equalize the jacketing here, but this zip tie makes all of them equal. Now these are just the two without the third wire. Now after that, we're going to add that third wire and more or less equalize the jacketing. This, if it's just a little bit off, that's fine. But what's important is that after we have all those wires of equal length from that tie-off point, then now we can trim them to the same length. And again, do not shortchange yourself on the length of the wire. I noticed that some people, some of us, cut this right close to that jacketing because, well, we need to save our planet. Yes, we need to save our planet, but we're not going to save our planet doing this thing here. You're just going to make our job more difficult, and actually we can make things worse for our planet, because if we cut the wire too short, then sometimes you're going to have no choice but to re-pull another wire. So things are going to go to waste. So after you zip tie those two originally, then you add the third wire that goes through the speaker station. Then you put another zip tie binding all three together, and then you just trim them all to the same length. Right? So over here we have one of the wires comes from the amplifier side, the other wire just continues with the loop to the next speaker station, and over here we have the tap-in wire that was going to go to the speaker station. Okay. Then after we do that, we strip those wires properly, and either use the wire nuts, or you can use those Wago connectors, whichever you choose. Now, I noticed that some people just keep twisting all those things with the insulation, right? Those jacketed wires. No, do not twist those. Just leave them the way you can see them here. You might want to twist just the end of it and just apply those connectors on. And after you do that, you can roll the whole thing into one beautiful service loop. You see here, somebody did this. Do extra twist. Please do not do that. Okay, I kept that picture because I want to show you also what not to do. So see, this is important why we need to equalize those wires first, so we could roll them onto a nice service loop, so we can come back to it, and whenever we need to service the system, we don't have to search high and low and try to guess how things were connected and what's the wiring spider web anywhere in the ceiling look like. We just go to those service loops. Okay, so much shorter time, so much less time to troubleshoot, so much more efficient way of something that's called serviceability. Okay, and as you could see here, there's one wire goes from the amplifier side here, the other one keeps going, and there's another tap-in wire that goes right in the ceiling station, speaker station in the ceiling. Okay. Now, at the speaker station, when you pull the wire out through the back of the speaker baffle, because it has to be through the back, because we need to put those, eventually the point is to put that face plate baffle onto the box. So here's the wire. Here's the wire that that runs from the back of the box, and over here we use those Wago connectors. You can use them, or you can use the wire nuts or the twist-on connectors, whichever way you prefer. Here's the step-down transformer for this speaker station, and this type of transformer has wires coming out of it. There's going to be one black wire and a bunch of different color wires for the primary side of the transformer, which connects into the main audio line. Now the secondary winding of the the windings of the transformer, it's just permanently mounted. It's low impedance, the 8 ohms side. It's basically soldered or mounted permanently into the speaker terminals. That is there for good. Don't need to even touch that. What we're interested in is connecting the common, usually black, to the black common, and the sticker will explain which one is the common, and black is the common here. And then depending on how much power you want to draw from the main line, you're going to use different colored wires. So This transformer here has a sticker that explains how the colors work for the 70 volt if you use the 70 volt amplifier or 70 volt system. On the other side, there's another sticker that explains which color of the wires apply to the 25 volt system. So we are using, our amplifier has 70 volt output, so we're going to use the 70 volt system. So depending on the instructions that we, the professors, might ask you to, let's say, let's tap all the speakers at 1 watt each. Then you're going to have to find which of the colors applies to 1 watt, and you're going to look at the sticker here. Or we can say, let's tap all speakers to 2 watts each. So you're going to have to find appropriate color for the 2 watts, and you're going to look at the sticker here. Okay? So all the other wires, just 2 wires are connected from all this whole wire bunch. All the other wires, we just need to not connect them, but it's a really, really good idea, and it's a must thing. They need to be secured in a way that the endings are not left stripped and free to touch anything. So they just don't rattle in any against any of the surfaces. So usually after you choose the 2 that you're going to connect, you're going to choose the black, which is common always, and you're going to choose one of the colors that corresponds to the wattage that you're going to tap those in. What does it mean that, let's say, we're going to tap the speaker to 1 watt? If we tap the speaker to 1 watt, it means that with the full volume on the amplifier, where the signal is at the full volume and the volume control of the amplifier is at full volume, the speaker station is going to consume 1 watt of the full volume power being fed into the main audio line. We do have another picture right here. This is another example of a speaker station. You see here, this transformer has wires, and it has a sticker explaining which wire is corresponding to which wattage. Now this one here is a very similar thing, and different manufacturers produce the step-down transformers slightly different way. So you may see, depending on what you order, depending what is being shipped to you, it just has to do the job, and it's our responsibility to figure out how this particular transformer works. It works the same way, it's just constructed slightly different, in a different way. So over here, instead of having all the wires hanging, they are just those spade taps. And you just use spade connectors to tap into. So first, here's the black, which is common, and here are the numbers of the taps. And in this particular case of the speaker station, you just use, these are the pins, they call them the pins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those numbers are smaller, those numbers are bigger. That's just the way they printed that. So then you look at the little sticker here. So let's say if you want to tap this particular one at 1 watt for the 70 volt system. So here's the 70 volt system, here's the 25 volt system, and where's the wattage? Here's the pin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these are the pins, these are the pins. This is not the wattages, this is actually the pins. That's how they solved this one. So here's the pins, and then we are interested in 70 volt line. So in this case here it says do not use pin 1, pin 2, and pin 3 if you are using 70 volt system, and pin 4 is going to give you 5 watts. Pin 5 is going to give you 2 watts. Pin 6 is going to give you 1 watt, and so on. So what is this speaker tapped as? What is it tapped into? So here's the common, that's fine. And it looks like we are tapping into pin 6, and we are using 70 volt line. So pin 6, and well, this speaker is tapped at 1 watt. Yeah. So with the full volume of the whole. Uh, no. So um, this is one of the ways of having the transformers produced, um, but this is another one. And you never know what you're gonna get, like a box of chocolates, whenever you get a new shipment. So that's how we're going to connect the speaker stations. You might work on those speaker stations individually, or you're going to be paired up. That depends on the situation, depends on the lab, and depends on the decision of the professor or the instructor who's in the classroom. As far as the deliverables, here I just have example from another year, and I just covered somebody's face because. All right, so for the deliverables, I'm going to ask you to supply 2 pages. One page, page number 1, is full-blown work order. We already have done that as lab 1. We were practicing doing the deliverables. Now we're going to do it sort of for real. So fill the whole thing out, get this thing signed by your instructor, and according to do everything as we were talking, according to our instructions in class. I'm not going to go through through the whole details. Now, there's one thing I noticed that I gave you the suggestion on when it comes to description of work, and you're always going to have limited space because, again, they don't want you to write stories. Okay, just be short and to the point. And I gave you the suggestion to write something like problem found or an action taken. Now, that works well with a service call when there's something wrong, but this is considered a new installation, so we don't need to write the problem because there was no problem. We're doing the installation. Again, I kept that. Excuse me. I just kept that so just to show you. In this case here, just be short and to the point. You can just say a speaker station installed, or constant voltage speaker station installed and verified, something like that. Okay? Or you can just say installed speaker, because in this description of work, the clarity of communication is more important than be grammatically correct. I shouldn't be saying that. However, in the real world, that's how that's how it is here. Now, when it comes to materials used, somebody said here they use 20 feet. You see, this is supposed to be the information on what the client needs to be built for. Right? So please do not list the tools that you have used. The client does not care that you have used a screwdriver, side cutters, and maybe some kind of a crimper. Okay? That's irrelevant. What is important to put here is the materials that will be built for in a way that that it's very clear, and nobody has to call you with questions on what was used and how much of it. And sometimes you need to write down the model numbers of equipment. Sometimes you need to provide sort of detail. Just put yourself in the other person's shoes, that they read that and they need to write up the bill. Do they have enough information? So, what do we have here? I'm going to skip that for now. I'm going to come back to it in a second. So, 20 feet, 2-wire electrical cable. I would call that person, okay, what wire was it? What wire did you use? Right? So look at the box of the wire. Look at the reel. There should be a sticker on it, and it's saying, and usually it's a 18-2 FT4 stranded wire. Okay, or sometimes there's actually a specific model number on that. If you use that with your company. Now, over here, somebody said that they used 3 zip ties. You don't really need. Remember when I said to you, for any of that, zip ties, electrical tape, screws, bolts, nuts, and whatnot, You're not going to count every single little thing that you have used and list it. That would be silly. So just instead of that, write miscellaneous materials and charge a flat rate. And the flat rate could be $10, could be $20, it could be $800, depending on the size of the project. Right? Everything else is as we talked. Now, that's the first page. And the second page, and let's practice following the instructions. Second page, we need 2 pictures. Picture 1 is the speaker station, and you're going to put yourself here. This is also going to help us learning your names. Rather than having all the pictures from your high school, and you don't really look like that anymore. So that was going to help us with that. All right. I just had to put that little smiley face because, well, I just didn't want to put that person's example from one of the previous years here. Right. Now, let's practice following the instructions. And the instructions are, in our case, here, wherever you go to work for any company, they are going to have their own set of instructions which you're going to follow. I'm asking for 1 page, the second page, consisting of 2 tables, 2 separate tables, not joined. And the first top row of each table is going to have the image, and the bottom row is going to have the description. And we want the description to not be sort of like made up by you. This particular one, I want it to be called a speaker station. So put that there, right? The second one, just take a photo of the service loop that you have done, nice and beautiful and clean, and label that as a service loop. Do not try to make up any other names. I'm asking you, or we're asking you here, to provide 2 pictures in a specific way, and we're giving you some specific, detailed instructions of how those need to be placed, how those need to be taken, and how those need to be labeled. It's not to satisfy my or our ego here. It is to help you develop a good habit of following the instructions, because at work, as I said, you are not going to be asked to provide 2 pictures, sometimes 2 pictures, sometimes 1, sometimes 5. And if there's an installation, quite often it's a common thing that you'll have to be providing 80 or 90 or 120 pictures. So there goes your weekend, all right? Well, really or not really. And they have to be provided according to the instructions. And if there's any kind of deviation from that, your work might be rejected and the payment might be delayed. So the deliverables, 2 pages, again, as a summary. Page 1, work order, signed by the instructor and dated. Right? And then the second page, 2 tables on the second page with the instructions of what I just said. Please do not have 1 big table on the second page and another big table on the third page. We're asking you to give us 2 pages in this way. All right. So, excuse me. This whole exercise that we're going through is to show you the technical part of that, but also the logistics, which is also extremely important in today's world when we're doing work, we're doing service calls, installations, when we navigate around the modern telecommunications field or any kind of service field. Okay, so now as far as the before you submit that your work, we want that to be in a PDF form, because our school server likes PDF format. If there's any other format, it might display it, it might not, or it might display it in an incorrect way. So please, before you also submit your work order, the deliverables, please, when you open the submission box, you're going to see the rubric. It's just going to jump at you as the first thing. So just go over the rubric just to make sure that you're not going to miss any silly points. All right. And that's so that's in a nutshell. And we're going to be supervising you, of course, providing assistance in class when you're going to be doing this job. All right. So that's it for this lab.